All right, ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant day and welcome. Dave Fisher here from USA Hockey headquarters in Colorado Springs. Always a great day for hockey here, particularly today with the news that we just released about an hour ago, naming Bill Guerin as the general manager of our teams for the upcoming 2025 NHL Four Nations Face-Off, February 12th through the 20th, and a couple of North American cities to be named, and of course also for our men's Olympic team in the 2026 Olympic Winter Games in Milan and Cortina. We'll get to your questions here in just a minute. But as we begin today, it's my pleasure to welcome in the executive director of USA Hockey. Turn it over to Mr. Pat Kelleher. PK.
Thanks, Fish. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Great to have everyone here for some exciting news today. Certainly been a great start to 2024 for USA Hockey with our teams winning gold medals at the World Juniors, the Women's U18 Worlds, and the Youth Olympic Games. A great start to the year, no doubt. Not easy to do, and a big congratulations to all of our athletes, all of our staff, and all of our volunteers who along the way contributed to that success. And certainly exciting news last week from Toronto when it was announced that the NHL players would be returning to international hockey in a best-on-best, first at the Four Nations Face-Off in February of 2025, and then back to the Olympic Winter Games in Italy in 2026. For USA Hockey, we're in a great place with both our women's program and our sled program at the national team level as we gear up towards the Olympics and Paralympics in 2026. And this return of the NHL players provides our organization a great opportunity to really build a cohesive, consistent plan for our men's side, not only for the Four Nations and the Olympics, but also for the 2024 and 2025 World Championships, which is significant as we look to try and finally win a gold medal in the World Championships as well. So we're very excited, pleased to be here today, and look forward to hearing from all of you and questions. But turn it back to Fish and then on to our next person. Thanks, Dave.
All right, thanks, Pat. All of USA Hockey's international efforts on the field of play are overseen by John Van Beesbrook, I think, as most of you know, Assistant Executive Director, Hockey Operations for USA Hockey. Obviously had a Hall of Fame playing career in the National Hockey League, has represented the United States on the international stage as a player many times as well, and certainly in his career at USA Hockey. And like to turn it over to John. Bees, all yours.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks, Pat, for your opening remarks. It is a great day for hockey. It's always wonderful to have exciting news to come forward. The Four Nations Face-Off that's going to happen next year during the All-Stars slot, and also with the Olympic Games in 2026 in Milan Cortina. We've been looking forward to moving forward in this path, and it's really exciting for me to introduce everybody to Bill as our team's GM through both of these processes. And I think most everybody knows that we had Bill in place for the last time we went to the Olympics until the world kind of blew up. So without further ado, I want to introduce our team's GM through 2026, Bill Guerin.
Thanks, Beezer. I appreciate it. Pat, thanks for your opening remarks, and Beezer, I appreciate it. Listen, it's always been an honor for me to represent my country, playing for USA Hockey over the years. 1980, I was 9 years old, and that had a huge impact on how I saw the game of hockey, the path I wanted to go down, and how deep I bled the red, white, and blue colors. Personally, I've been fortunate to participate in World Junior tournaments, World Cups, Olympics, and every one of those experiences has been absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to doing it on the other side. USA Hockey has come so far in the last 20, 25 years. It's really absolutely incredible. The men's teams, the women's team, the sled team. We don't just go to these tournaments to participate. We go in to win, and we've got one of the deepest player pools and staff pools in the world, and those are our expectation now. And it's actually absolutely incredible to see. I would like to thank USA Hockey, Pat Kelleher, John Van Beesbrook, and many others at USA Hockey for this opportunity. It is the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm really looking forward to working with everybody closely. Personally, I'd like to thank Craig Leopold and the Minnesota Wild for the support in being able to go on this journey with USA Hockey. I know Craig and the Wild are big USA Hockey supporters. Being in the state of hockey, Minnesota, it's very near and dear to our hearts. So thank you to Craig. Most of all, I'd like to thank my wife, Kara, and our children, Kayla, Grace, Liam, and Lexi, for their unwavering support for me to be able to take this on. I know it's a lot more, and they're always just extremely supportive of this. And I think when I first played in the Olympics in Nagano, I think my daughter Kayla was 7 months old, and we brought her all the way to Japan. So the Guerin family is all in with USA Hockey. As for the team and the staff, our depth, like I said, is our depth now in USA Hockey is second to none. We have one of the deepest benches in the world when it comes to staff and players, and I really look forward to putting together the staff, the players, the supporting staff, and just putting together a group that we really feel can win. I look back on my experience at the '96 World Cup, and that was a team that really bonded together, and we had 100% buy-in and 100% acceptance of our roles, and we did whatever it took to win, and that's what I'll be looking for in our players and staff. I know there are going to be a lot of questions. I don't have answers for you when it comes to staff or even players. This is extremely fresh and new right now, but in the coming months, I'll be working with John and some of the other American GMs to get things figured out. And I think that's one of the great things is that there's so many bright minds amongst the GMs that are American, and I'm going to lean on them heavily. So we will get to that, but I don't have answers on that for you today. So before we get to questions, I just want to hit on a couple things. I just want to share with you how excited we are here in Minnesota, the state of hockey, to be hosting the final game of the rivalry series. That's going to be Sunday at 1:00 here at the XL's Energy Center. And, our women are in a heated battle with their arch rivals right now. And hopefully we can close that out in their preparations for the World Championships in Utica, New York, which we wish them all the best of luck. Also, we're really looking forward to be hosting the World Junior Championships in 2026. It's just going to be fantastic. The market is already excited about it, and we just can't wait to get there. So a lot of good things going on here. And again, thank you to everybody, and I'll take your questions now.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And we'll use the raise hand function for the Q&A portion of today. And please identify yourself, your affiliate each time, and then direct your question to a particular individual. Bill mentioned the rivalry series game in St. Paul. We will also play tomorrow, US-Canada in Regina. That's 8:00 Eastern, live on NHL Network. And then the Women's World Championship, April 3 through 14. Empire State Tix, TIX.com, is a home for ticket packages. And we're also pleased to have NHL Network as a broadcast home for that tournament as well. All right, let's see. How are we doing on the raise hand function here? Are we allowed to raise our, oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Tom, go ahead. Your mic is open.
Hey, Billy, Tom Gallitti, NHL.com. Congratulations on getting this position. You said you don't have answers as far as who you're going to be hiring, but you have a timetable. I know it said 6 players early this summer. How about when do you want to have a coaching staff in place, or at least part of your coaching staff in place before that?
Yeah, I would like to. I think in short tournaments, it's important to be on the same page as the coach. When it comes to style, type of players that we want, and specifically who we want, and make decisions together. So I think it'll be really important to have that all in place, well before then.
And if I could just follow, how helpful is the Four Nations face-off going to be helpful for you just putting together that team for 2026 as well? Just it's almost like you're doing it, first, and then you'll have kind of a dry, a framework at least in place for that tournament.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. But that's going to be, we're going to be playing for keeps and, evaluating that, as well as the World Championships. I think the World Championships are a great platform for the guys to, come over and or go over and continue to showcase for us. Obviously there are a lot of players. We're going to be using NHL players, so we know them all well. But on the international stage is a little bit different, and I think it's important that we have good participation in the World Championships. And I know Brett Peterson is a GM this year, and he's going to be doing a fantastic job for us in getting guys over there. So I think both the World Championships and the Four Nations tournament will be really important for us.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks much, Tom. Speaking of international competition, if you're not aware, our national under-18 team from the National Team Development Program currently hosting a Five Nations tournament at USA Hockey Arena in Plymouth, Michigan, Greater Detroit. We're off to a 2-0 start. And you can see all those games on USA Hockey TV if you are so inclined. All right, next up, let's go to Brian Pinelli. Brian, go ahead, please. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Congratulations, Bill. Obviously, you just kind of started answering a little bit about the player selection process in your last answer. But being that NHL players haven't been at the games in 10 years, do you guys potentially try to do something different? I mean, I know you just said you'll obviously use the World Championships and Four Nations, but it's been a decade since NHL players are there. So, do you try to think out the box? How do you determine the selection process? And lastly, more simply, Bill, John, have you guys ever competed, skated in Italy here? I'm actually living in Cortina now a couple of years, and growth in hockey here in Northern Italy continues to grow. Thank you.
Billy?
Listen, we'll use the Four Nations, we'll use the World Championships, we'll use the NHL regular season to evaluate the players. I don't know how much more outside of the box we can really get, but I think it's important that we find a good mix, players that can fill each and every role, because it's not an all-star game. We're trying to put together the best team, the best chemistry that we can find quickly. And I participated in the Torino Olympics, and it was fantastic.
John, anything from Italy in your past?
Other than my mom is born in Italy, nothing in my Italian past, but I will say that we're looking forward to, competing there and to see how the arenas are going to be developed. That's one of the questions going in are the venues. But I think our players will adapt and adjust to most things. And, when it goes into the selection process, we're very fortunate to have a deep bench, and the decisions will be difficult.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Brian. Pat mentioned the gold medal, January. One other note that at usahockeyfoundation.com, we're currently through Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern auctioning off the game-worn jerseys of our gold medal national junior team. So if you're interested in bidding or can share the word on that, that would certainly be appreciated, and have a lot of fun with that. Great to welcome in Jesse Pierce. Jesse, take it away.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Congratulations, Bill.
Thanks, Jesse.
This one's kind of more for PK and or Beezer. What went into the decision to have Bill? Obviously, there's a ton of familiarity there with him as a player. And then certainly he was going to be the GM at the last Olympics before the NHL withdrew. But what really excites you about having Billy up in the helm for the upcoming Four Nations and Olympics?
I'll really flip that to John to answer. I'll just say, John and I spent a lot of time talking about our teams and programs, and then John and I work closely with our president, Mike Trimboli, our VP of International, Dwayne Dillinger, to make sure, they're aware of the plans and the process. And so that's really, fortunately, the rumors and some of the work of the NHL being back in the Olympics and with Four Nations, we had heard about for a while. We've had some conversations. So I think John and I we're excited to move forward on this, and John certainly goes back a few years with Billy. So I'll let John go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. And it is an interesting question, but I think we trust Bill. Number one, we have a deep bench of GMs to pull from, but we were going down the route with Billy the last time. We had great conversations. Love his leadership, and overall, he's a winning hockey player, but he's a winning GM too. So, I think our decision was fairly easy for us. Thank you.
All right, Jesse, thank you. Nice to have you and hear your voice. I would just want to mention too, we're speaking of our teams on the international stage and playing internationally. We're excited to host a sled series coming up in Minot, North Dakota, actually, March 13, 15, and 16. And both our U.S. national sled team and our women's development team will each play 3-game series against Canada up in Minot. They've been so welcoming. And again, all 6 of those games you'll be able to follow along on USAHockeyTV.com as well. All right, let's go over to Joe Smith. Joe, welcome. Good to see you or hear you, and please go ahead.
Thanks so much, Bill. Congratulations, obviously. A couple questions for you. You mentioned inspiration for 1980 for you as a player, and mentioned coming there to win. And not many years where USA is traditionally the favorite for the gold medal in the Olympics. This is when they were played, Olympics for NHL players. But this is such a deep roster you'll have to pick from here. What can you talk about the state of the USA Hockey as far as an Olympic team you can build here in terms of being how the greater chances you could have to win with the roster you're able to build?
Well, I mean, like I said before, I think our player pool is so deep, and the thing is that we've developed such high-end talent, and there's just such high-end talent out there that we've never seen before. And it's not just 3-4 guys. There's a ton, and they come from all walks of life. We have skilled centers, we have shutdown D, we have abrasive wingers, we have 100-point guys, we have good role players, we have there's just so much to choose from. Like Beezer said, we're gonna have some real difficult decisions, and there'll be some disappointment for some players, but then some players there's going to be opportunity of a lifetime. And it's just I just don't see why we shouldn't be thinking gold medals. And I think USA Hockey has developed into a program where that's what we do. And look, we have to put our skates on and go out and play the games. But when you just look at it pure talent wise and depth wise, we're in a really good spot.
And you mentioned it being a lot of responsibility too, and the support from Craig and the organization. You plan on talking to some other kind of GMs who've been through the kind of dual, obviously being a GM and GM for the Olympics, like a Eiserman kind of thing, where you kind of have an idea of how you're going to kind of delegate and kind of parcel out that responsibilities you'll have to do both?
Well, yes, to answer your question, yes. I spoke to David Poyle this morning for a little while. I'm in constant contact with Don Waddell. So yeah, I always try to lean on people who have had the same experience before. They're always willing to lend their experience and help. And there's so much brain power amongst NHL GMs that are American born, that, I have that group of people to lean on as well.
One last quick one for me. A lot of NHL players you talk to are veteran players who've been here for 10 years, haven't played in the Olympics, and they played the World Championships and World Junior. You played all the different international tournaments. Why is the Olympics different? Like you say, you represent your country in all different tournaments, and it's all special, I'm sure. But what is it that these guys are getting that they, never got a chance to get before?
Yeah, it's the Olympics, and you know what? It's just, just look at the history of incredible moments that have happened in Olympic history. Whether it's winter, summer, hockey, running, or it doesn't matter. It's the Olympic Games, and that is unique. That is special, and for the just for the opportunity to be in the Olympics is special, and to go in and have the opportunity to win a medal is even more.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. John, how is the Olympics different? You want to weigh in on that? Good question.
Well, I think this time around, it's best on best, and it's going to be a very unique situation because, as Joe mentioned, it's been a decade, and I think the players are extremely hungry for the opportunity. I think that's going to create so much more excitement. And not only that, representing your country, everybody that has played this game, that has had the opportunity to represent their country, the Olympics is the biggest stage, and you'll forever be known as an Olympian.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a former Olympian. We've been told that. That's the truth. I want to also mention too, we're coming down the home stretch here of our youth hockey season. Our Chipotle High School National Championships coming up here in mid-March, and then in early April we have our youth and girls Chipotle USA Hockey National Championship. So have that to look forward to. That's all on usahockeytv.com as well, and we appreciate your support and coverage of that as we head towards there. All right, Jesse, back to you.
I've got lots of questions always, Fish. That's just what I do.
It's okay.
Billy, question. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but how will you use the Four Nations as kind of not a trial run for the Olympics and the team that you'll compose? Because obviously there's a year in between there, but how is that going to really benefit you in the team that you want to build to take to the Olympics? And obviously, as you'd mentioned, taking gold in both events.
Well, I think what I'm very appreciative of, well, I don't think I know, what I'm very appreciative of is this this formula of giving us a longer runway to put together a staff, medical equipment, coaching, hockey operations team that can work together multiple times or at least one time before the Olympics start. And I think that just gives us great consistency. We can really kind of build off of, whatever, I don't know what's going to happen in the Four Nations, but whatever happens there, we can build off of it together and see where we can improve. And like I said, just having that consistency and that little bit longer runway to work as a group, I think that's really, really important.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jesse. It's a pleasure to have one of our most esteemed journalists here with us this morning from Los Angeles, Helene Elliott. Helene, welcome, and floor is yours.
Wow, thank you. Just wanted to ask a couple questions for Bill or John, whoever is best qualified to answer. In past Olympics, when NHLers went, there really wasn't time for training camp or any kind of time together other than maybe an orientation session or something. Do you have any insight into how that's going to work in 2026? And also, do you have any kind of timetable for coaching candidates? Have you begun talking to potential candidates just to kind of get them on your radar?
John, why don't you start?
Yeah, well, Helene, it's good to talk to you. Thank you for the question or questions. I think first of all, to tackle the, putting together the staff or having a camp, I think that we're waiting on more instructions to follow on what happens. And I think most everybody knows how difficult it is to get everybody on the ice in the summer based on insurance and things of that nature. So I think the medium of Zoom is going to help us a lot to connect, but we certainly are going to have some processes in the summer that are going to be available to us. And then,
go ahead, John. Sorry.
yeah, I think that all the coaching and staffs, as Billy was talking to, obviously up to him, but we're going to weigh all those things equally and see where to go with that. I mean, to, I guess, bring up in the past the fact that Mike Sullivan was chosen in the past, and he's a tenured coach. Experience always comes into play in these things, but I think that we're confident in Bill to put together the staff, but as far as the parameters around that, we're still waiting instruction.
Billy, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would, for the orientation stuff, camps, getting guys on ice, that's, Beezer hit the nail right on the head. We're just waiting. But for coaches, I haven't begun the process yet. There are many good candidates out there. Like Beezer said, we had Mike Sullivan in place last time, and he's definitely a candidate. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that soon.
All right. Thank you, Helene. Tom, I see you out there. I'll come to you here. I'm going to go to Randy Johnson next, though. Randy, welcome. Glad to have you. And the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Bill, congratulations on the appointment first. Second, you choosing the captain, what type of process might you be using, and what traits are you looking for in your captain?
Well, that's actually a really good question. Experience, obviously leadership qualities, but I think what we're going to have to do is find a guy that's going to be able to be a good liaison between players and coaches and staff. Somebody that the players gravitate to, an inclusive type of guy, and somebody that's got a warrior type mentality and a winning mentality and a team first mentality. I think it's going to be very important for all the players to have a high level of buy-in, because what happens in these tournaments is everybody's a star. Everybody's a star in their team. Everybody scores. Everybody plays in the power play, but that's not going to be the case. So we need guys that are going to be, thinking, team first, winning first, and personal accolades and points and stuff like that second.
All right, great question, Randy. Thank you. All right, Tom, back to you. Your mic should be open, hopefully.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks. Bill, you mentioned Mike Sullivan before. Is there any seniority there for him because he had the position? Is this starting off over from scratch with you as far as the coaching staff?
No, Mike, we don't do things on seniority and like your next line. It's all about qualification, and Mike is extremely qualified. He's a Stanley Cup winning coach. He's a leader. He checks all the boxes. He's a commanding presence. It's got nothing to do with seniority or who's next in line. It's all about who can deliver. We feel we have a lot of guys that fit that bill, and Mike being one of them.
And do you plan to have the same coach for both tournaments, or will you go through 4 nations and then make your decision on the coach for for Olympics after that?
Another good question. I'd like to have the same guy for both tournaments. The consistency is extremely important. I think the relationship between player and coach, when it comes to short tournaments like this is extremely important. I remember from back in '96, our relationship with Ron Wilson was incredible. He had a great balance of keeping guys happy, keeping it light, but also keeping his thumb on us and pushing us and demanding us. And the communication between him and the players was great. Paul Holmgren, John Cunoff did a great job. It was so key, that relationship. So I would like to have the same guy for 2 tournaments.
Right. Thanks very much again.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. I do want to mention too, coming up here February 19th through the 25th, we're looking forward to celebrate Hockey Week Across America. We have a different theme for each day. HockeyWeekAcrossAmerica.com is the home. And of course, on that Saturday, we have our National Try Hockey for Free Day, where new families can be introduced to the sport. Young kids can try the game for free all across the country, and tryhockeyforfree.com is our landing spot for that. And thank you for sharing that. That program, we've introduced over 250,000 new kids to the sport over the course of I think about a dozen years. So something to look forward to. And we're also really thrilled that TNT is going to do Hockey Day in America on that last day, Sunday, February 25th. So a lot to look forward to there. Luke, you are next. Thank you for being here, and your mic is open. Welcome.
Thanks, Fish. Luke Hanlon with USAHockey.com. Bill, you already mentioned the significance and importance of playing in Olympic Games, which of course is something you've done 3 times. How do you think your experience on that stage as a player is going to help you shape this roster for 2026?
Well, even in my current role as GM of the Wild, I lean on my playing days a lot. What would I have liked? What would I have disliked? What were good situations? How were we treated? What could have been better? Communication, all those things that I, experienced as a player, in the NHL and, at the Olympic Games. Those are experiences that I lean on now, and I will to try to help make myself as strong as a GM that I can, and help everybody out. And like I said before, these are short tournaments. We need to come together quickly, and we just need to have the buy-in and find the players that are going to just kind of dive in right away. And that's what I saw in my experience. The teams that come together the quickest are the ones that have the better success.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Great to have you. And it's fun to have some of the legends of the media corps on here. We heard from Helene Elliott earlier, and now we're going to go to another one of those that falls in that category. All of you are great, of course. Kevin DuPont, KPD, all yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'm having problems here. Billy, good to see you.
Great to see you too, buddy. Been a long time.
I know. And as a BU guy, I'd appreciate it if you scoot 4 inches to your left and hide that BC logo. I'd feel a whole lot better. No, other way, Billy.
No, it's perfect. Right where it is.
Quick housekeeping one, if I could. Will the numbers for staffing level for managers and coaches be the same for both 4 nations and Olympics? Generally, how many guys are you looking to add here?
That would be a B's probably jump in on that, I think, John.
Yeah, for the 4 nations tournament, we can have up to 20. And then as you turn towards the Olympics, credentialing and officials will change significantly of how many we can have and have credentialed. So that's more of a management into the tournament and what the IOC will allow us to have. So, but for 4 nations, we can have up to 20.
Okay. And for coaches and managers for each one, how many are we looking at there? Would be a 4-man coaching staff, 2 other managers?
Yeah. So officially, on the bench, we can have 8 officials. So I think that's yet to be determined on who plays what role. And there are going to be different types of roles probably this time around because video and analytics have become a certain part of the game, especially in the last decade. And I think that all is going to be yet to be determined, but I'll turn it over to Billy for his thoughts on that.
People, we get to choose and what roles they'll play. I'd like to use as many people as I can. Like I said before, there's so many bright minds, on the GM level for the U.S. that I'd like to include as many people as I possibly can. As for coaches, we'll when we pick the head coach, we'll discuss with him who he wants, how many he wants, and because he'll be in the trenches, running the bench and behind the scenes and all that stuff. So I think that'll be those will be important decisions to make hand in hand with Beezer and the coach.
And if I can just ask you a question, sort of with your Wild GM cap on here, that one of the constant sort of not sticking points or laments, but issues to deal with has been shutting the league down for ostensibly 2.5 weeks here, and also dealing with your NHL team. So how do you feel about that in terms of what issues does it bring up for you as a manager of an NHL team, and how intrusive is it?
You know what? I guess, Kevin, I'm just such a big believer in our participation in the Olympics that I'm okay with anything. The fact that we have to shut down, the fact that our players are in it, and there's there's risk, of course there is, but this is the biggest sports stage in the world, and I'm just such a big believer in it for us to be there that whatever comes our way, we can deal with and balance it as well as we can.
Yeah. And last one for me, you'd mentioned being 9 years old in 1980, and then the question came about who you'd be looking at as captain. Eruzione had such an effect on that team, and I can remember just watching it, just in terms of his exuberance and not being the best player on the team by any stretch, and what he meant. So does that moment still stick with you?
It does, because and I know Mike real well. I think he's going to put his name in for captain on this team too. And he'd be a good one because he's a glue guy. We've all seen Miracle. We've all heard the stories. We've all, a lot of us are fortunate enough to have heard right from Mike and from some of the other guys. I'm good friends with Robbie McClanahan here in Minnesota, and I've heard so many of the stories. But Mike was the guy that kept the guys together, and he could communicate with Herb, and they through tough times and crazy schedules and all that stuff. It was Mike that was the glue, and and other guys too. But Mike was the glue, and you need a guy like that, regardless of regardless of role.
Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin.
Good to hear your voice, and great to see Kevin Fallness on here too. Connor, nice to have you. I know Nick Zaccardi's on here as well. Plenty of others. Thanks everybody for joining us. Let's see. Do we have any other questions before we break this thing up today? I think it looks like we are good. So thank you everybody for being here today. A grand day for hockey, a lot to look forward to. We'll have a lot more news here as we chart down the weeks and months ahead. And if you have anything further, you know how to reach me here in the office or on my cell. Thanks again. Have a great day.